4 years ago, I found myself working at a Walmart during my college days. My class schedule was a chaotic mess, making it nearly impossible to find a job with consistent hours. Fortunately, the Walmart near my campus kept its doors open 24/7 and had a vacant position for an overnight cashier. The allure of overnight shifts was undeniable. They fit perfectly with my scattered classes. After a successful interview, I secured the job, and life seemed to be going well, at least for a while. The store was a hive of activity during the night with a constant stream of customers, which made the time fly by. I often found myself manning the cash register alone, rarely interacting with coworkers. My nights were characterized by the regular visits of familiar faces. Among them was a man who unfailingly appeared around 1 a.m. Each time he purchased an eclectic mix of items, clothes, toys, and various odds and ends. Strangely enough, he always came alone, avoiding conversations and slipping away without a word. One night, things took a spine-chilling turn. As the clock neared 1 a.m., the man arrived at my checkout lane, his usual quiet demeanor replaced by an unexpected conversation starter. He asked about my night and weekend plans, catching me off guard with his newfound chattiness. His appearance was unsettling, disheveled hair, exhaustion etched on his face, yet his eyes gleamed with unnatural alertness. After paying for his purchases, he offered a perfunctory thank you and exited, leaving me bewildered by his abrupt change in his behavior. The rest of the night dragged on, and when I finally clocked out at 7 a.m., the first light of dawn barely pierced the darkness. As I made my way to my car, my heart skipped a beat. Parked beside mine was a vehicle, its engine humming ominously. To my horror, it was the same man from earlier, his appearance even more haggard and worn, yet his smile unnervingly intact. My unease grew as he approached me, my pleasantries masking my trepidation as he trailed me to my car. I attempted to depart, but his iron grip seized my arm, his intentions clear as he tugged me toward his vehicle. Panic surged through me as I fought back, summoning the strength to push him away. I bolted into my car, speeding away to a safer refuge. I parked at a McDonald's and hastily called the police, recounting the horrifying ordeal. Despite furnishing them with CCTV footage from the store and parking lot, the man remained a nameless enigma, leaving me mired in frustration and anxiety. I soldiered on with my job, the specter of that night haunting my thoughts. The items he purchased, a macabre collection of various sized clothes and toys, sickened me, suggesting a more sinister motive behind his actions. The weight of the survivor's guilt pressed heavily upon me, a desperate wish that he'd return so I could prevent others from falling victim. Yet, my hopes were dashed as the store ceased its 24/7 operations due to unforeseen circumstances, ultimately costing my job. 4 years later, and I still yearn for justice to be served, and for him to be held accountable for his chilling behavior. As the memory of that unnerving encounter continues to haunt me, I can't help but wonder, did he eventually face the consequences of his chilling actions? Around 3 years ago, I found myself employed at Walmart, a place that wasn't my top choice due to its tarnished reputation. However, the lure of consistent overnight hours compelled me to accept the job. The night shift seemed like a haven from the chaos of customer interactions, allowing me to focus solely on restocking shelves during the store's dormant hours. But fate had other plans, and an unsettling incident unfolded that etched itself into my memory. Armed with only a few days of guidance from the manager, I embarked on my solitary nightly tasks. The enormity of the store meant traversing vast expanses, and though the tasks were simple, the repetitive nature of the work had an eerie quality to it. One Wednesday night, the clock struck 9 p.m., signaling the commencement of my shift. The manager allotted me my designated aisles for the night. I delved into my responsibilities. My introverted nature compelled me to keep to myself, especially as a newcomer navigating unfamiliar terrain. Amid my duties, an anomalous event transpired. In my quest to find the perfect spot for a box, a stranger suddenly appeared and tapped my shoulder. Startled, I pivoted to face him. With an almost unsettling politeness, he queried the location of the restroom, assuming him to be another recent recruit amidst the ongoing hiring spree. I provided directions, thinking nothing more of the encounter. Pushing forward, I methodically restocked shelves aisle by aisle. To my astonishment, the same man resurfaced. This time, he lingered at the end of an aisle, waving awkwardly. His aura radiated nervousness, prompting me to inquire about his needs. Stammering, he indicated he required assistance. Driven by a mix of curiosity and confusion, I accompanied him. My uncertainty heightened as I trailed him through the store. As we passed another employee, I noticed a peculiar glint in the man's eye. Despite growing unease, I clung to the belief that he was a fellow new recruit, grappling the overwhelming layout of the store. Our journey led us to the front, near the service desk. There, he directed my attention to the opposite side of the counter, beseeching my assistance in reaching an object. As I leaned over the counter, attempting to discern the object's identity, a chilling realization washed over me. The touch of a cold, blunt object against my back sent a jolt of terror down my spine. The truth hit me like a freight train. He held a gun. His grip tightened, forcing me to remain mute. Panic gripped me as he demanded I open the cash register. In vain, I explained my limited access, but he remained unconvinced. With every repetition of his demand, his aggression intensified, driving me deeper into fear's clutches. Amid this nightmare, another employee passed by. The stranger barked orders at him, demanding the register be opened. Fear rendered us all paralyzed. In a desperate bid to avert disaster, I proposed to summoning the manager. Reluctantly, he agreed, and I reached for the store's phone. In a surprising twist, the other employee bolted for freedom. Caught off guard, the intruder's grip loosened, and he shoved me against the counter before fleeing the scene. I managed to dial 911, trembling fingers clutching the phone. Thankfully, everyone emerged unscathed. The store surveillance cameras captured his brazen actions. From his surreptitious entry prior to closing his abrupt exit, his face was unmasked in the footage, facilitating his identification and subsequent apprehension. It was later revealed that the gun was a fake, cunningly painted black to mimic lethal authenticity. The ordeal reached its conclusion with his arrest, yet its haunting specter endures. I persist in my role at Walmart, forging connections with coworkers. Still, an unshakable unease lingers, a nagging suspicion that another hidden threat lurks within the sprawling store. The possibility of encountering an unforeseen danger gnaws at my psyche. What sinister presence might next emerge from the shadows? Being a single mother and juggling 2 jobs while raising a teenage son and a young daughter was a constant struggle. As my son grew older, he became more responsible and could watch over his little sister occasionally, which eased my burden. However, the relentless cycle of work and parenting left me drained. Arriving home from my second job around 9 p.m., I knew the next day would be just as demanding. Desperation led me to realize I had nothing prepared for my kids to eat while I was away. With no other choice, I decided to make a quick run to Walmart. They were the only store open until midnight, providing a sliver of time to sort things out. I hurried to the store, arriving shortly before 11:30 p.m. Although I loathed being the last-minute customer, circumstances dictated otherwise. My main objective was to secure some frozen meals for the kids, allowing them to manage on their own during my absence. As I pursued the grocery section, an eerie sensation crawled up my spine. A tall, shadowy figure stood at the far end of the aisle. I could feel his eyes on me, yet each time I glanced his way, he feigned disinterest. His unsettling presence cast a sinister atmosphere, and my unease grew. Snatching a couple of boxes from the shelf, I swiftly moved to the adjacent aisle, only to find him following my every move. His gaze never wavered, locked onto mine like a predator stalking its prey. As he lurked, I tried to ignore the chilling feeling crawling beneath my skin. A quick glance at him revealed a middle-aged man with unkempt hair and tattered clothing. Attempting to dismiss the discomfort, I directed a question towards him. "Can I help you with something?" His lips curled into a menacing grin as he muttered something incoherent. It sent shivers down my spine, confirming that something was undeniably wrong. Shaking off the unease, I chose to believe it was a mere coincidence, and I carried on with my shopping. After gathering cereal and milk, I headed to the self-checkout kiosk. My fingers trembled slightly as I scanned the items and made the payment. Glancing around, I noticed the man's absence and breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe he had lost interest or found someone else to focus on. Exiting the store into a dimly lit parking lot, I caught sight of my car. My heart sank at the sight of scratches, dents, and shattered windows. Panic gnawed at me as a sense of vulnerability overtook my senses. That's when I heard faint footsteps approaching from behind. Startled, I spun around to face the source of the sound. Two men emerged from the shadows, a chilling aurora surrounding them. One clutched a rusted pipe, while the other wore a malevolent grin. The moonlight revealed their sinister faces, one gaunt and unshaven, the other younger with piercings and cold eyes. Fear seized me as I fumbled for my keys, only to realize that escape was futile. As I reached the edge of the parking lot, I turned to see them closing in. An instinctive urge to run surged through me. Breathless and heart-pounding, I darted back towards the store, hoping the safety of its fluorescent lights would be my sanctuary. My heart raced as the distance between us closed. Panic propelled me forward, and I burst through the entrance, gasping for air. My lungs burned, my vision blurred, and as I turned to glimpse the assailants, they halted at the threshold, glaring at me with sinister intent. The police arrived, but by then, the men had vanished into the night. My car was a wreck, and I was a mess of shaken nerves. A month later, I learned from the news that similar incidents had occurred in other areas. The details were horrifying, a string of targeted attacks, leaving victims traumatized. As I reflect on those terrifying events, I can't help but wonder, was the man I encountered at Walmart just a random occurrence? Or was he part of a larger, darker scheme that is yet to be unraveled?